might have to leave 15 minutes
I mean, it's the same, they're the same which is considered like a common invention.
Good news, we are live. So, without further delay, I'd like to start the session today. Warm welcome to people in the UK and in countries. We have about 6 people who have joined us from the field. So they are watching us live, the presentation here that we're going to have. It's really exciting for us to be here around this very important topic of evaluation. And today we're going to talk about the independent final evaluation of the Brooke OIKOS Pilot Project in Nicaragua. This is the first independent evaluation that we've done here in Brooke. So we are very happy about that. We have followed the international norms and standards for evaluation. These are norms and standards that I can show you here that we have followed. Very important standards that are used by major donors and international organizations. So we are fully compliant with this document now. This exercise was a great learning exercise for us, for the team managing evaluations here. We have included some of the learning and the good practices from here to develop the evaluation policy, which is this document I can show you right now. The evaluation policy which we have developed and presented at SLT. This was adopted on 9th of June. The reason you've not seen it yet is because it's going to go to Board of Trustees for full endorsement. After that, we'll be able to circulate to everyone. This important evaluation policy defines what is evaluation for Brooke. So it's a process to establish value, worth, and merit of our intervention. It also defines some objectives for our work around evaluation. There are 3 objectives for evaluation here. Do you have any idea why we do evaluation? Why is it important? What could be those objectives according to you?
Accountability to donors.
Accountability to donors, yes. Any other ideas? Yeah, Felix?
Programmatic learning.
Programmatic learning, definitely learning is part of it. Any other guess? No? Okay, so yes, definitely accountability to donors, but also to beneficiaries is key in terms of improving our transparency and accountability for our actions and the impact of our action through our work with partners, branches. Ongoing improvement of our work. It's also improvement for the wider sector. Any learning that we generate through our evaluation can be useful to other organizations, and that's why we want those evaluation findings to be accessible outside of the organization. And the last element is around management. So evaluation helps strengthen decision-making process for senior management, principally, but also for others, based on sound assessment of effectiveness, efficiency, relevance, impact, and sustainability of our intervention, which is very important when you want to make sure that we have lasting effect on the ground and we make change happen there. Now, you will see this evaluation policy, as I said, is building on the norms and standards for evaluation. And we have built those elements into the policy to ensure, first of all, professionalism in evaluation. We want to make sure the evaluation we conduct are done by qualified evaluator. It's about usefulness and participation. Why? Because we don't want an evaluation to be done and to sit on the shelf and we forget about it. This is a massive investment in terms of money and time, and we want to make best use of it. For that purpose, Cesar and Jose, when they manage evaluation, they make sure it's a highly participatory process. We want to create ownership of the findings and the recommendation from all the relevant stakeholders. And I must say that we've done this evaluation in Nicaragua, we've just finished the one in Jordan, and we are in the ongoing process of evaluation of Nepal. And we had very positive participation from all the sides in the UK and in the field, and we're really grateful for that. It's been a really good experience. It's also about transparency and learning. So transparent process, we try to make it as transparent as possible, and is about making results available to all parties concerned, as I said, internally and externally. Last but not least, it's about credibility and independence. We want to be proud of those evaluation reports. We want people to read them and to feel confident in the content. For that, we ensure impartiality between the evaluation function on one side and the program delivery on the other side. There's no crossover. We work together, but it's two separate functions to ensure we don't influence the findings of the independent evaluation. Other element that Jose and Cesar very much look after is to ensure we follow procurement procedures so that we recruit evaluator in an independent manner, and we ensure there are not any conflict of interest, so that the findings are not biased again. So great work from Cesar and Jose on that side. Other elements you will see in this evaluation policy is the reference to the OECD DAC approach for evaluation, and in particular, we've been using the OECD DAC criteria for evaluation. You will find those here in this document, and you will recognize when Cesar made the presentation that we've been following those criteria, which are listed here. And I will circulate this document so you can have its evaluation criteria. So we've not invented anything, we've just built on those norms and standards. We use 7 evaluation criteria. Brooke, I don't know if any of you has read either the summary of the evaluation report or the full evaluation report. Any idea about those evaluation criteria that we've used? No idea? Okay. We have the summary report here and the full evaluation report here, which I'm going to circulate as well. You can take a look. So those criteria we've been using, the very first one is validity of design. This is about making sure when we design our program or projects, these are well thought through and there's quality from the very beginning before we even start implementation. This is critical, and that's one element evaluator has been looked at. The second element is relevance and appropriateness. This is about making sure the program we deliver is in line with local needs and priorities. So obviously the needs of equines on the ground, but also taking into account the owners and users, their interests. That's the best way to develop our programs. The third element is around coherence. So coherence with existing programs on the ground. This could be NGOs or partners or government programs. It's about global and national policies. Are we in line with that? And strategies to ensure consistency, maximize synergies, and reduce overlap. Basically, not reproducing same programs and making sure we, as a whole, make sense on the ground. Fourth element is around efficiency. So this is very much the use of resources and how economically resources and inputs have been converted into results. This is about the use of funds, expertise, time, buildings, anything we have at the beginning. Fifth element is effectiveness of management setup. This is very much introspective into our organization, how our structure and the way we operate and support or hinder our programs on the ground in terms of implementation. And we've got some interesting findings on that side. Sixth element is around effectiveness of implementation. This is very much focusing on the actual results we can see in terms of outputs and outcome. And the last one is around sustainability, and I call it likelihood of impact. So sustainability of what we implement on the ground. Is there an impact we can see coming, and the time we're going to withdraw from the area, will the benefit and the results last in time? So that's critical. Now, you will recognize, as I said in the evaluation report and the summary here, those criteria, and in the presentation, it's very important for two reasons that we apply those criteria. The very first one is about being recognized by donors. As you can see here, they use the very same criteria, so when we approach them, we can show our work and they will understand it. The second element is, if we take a systematic approach to evaluation with a common framework for analysis, we'll then be able to compare those evaluations and draw some learnings and findings across countries. This will help refine also our approach as an organization. Elements in the report. So report has generated findings. These are lessons, good practices, and obviously a set of recommendations. You will see in the presentation of Cesar, those recommendations are addressed both to Brooke, Nicaragua, but also to Brooke more globally. And that's one of the reasons why we want to disseminate those findings beyond just Nicaragua, because we all have a role to play to ensure we learn from that exercise and we improve our work. There will be follow-up on evaluation recommendation, there will be actions to be taken, and the directors in the UK will take the lead on that. But the country program, Elizabeth in Nicaragua will very much lead that also on the Nicaragua side. So without further ado, I will invite Cesar to make the presentation of our independent evaluation in Nicaragua, and it will be about 30 minutes presentation, and after that we'll open the floor for questions and answers. We'll take questions from the UK, but also from countries where they have a little chat box on the side of the YouTube live stream.
Hello. Thank you for coming. This evaluation has been started in September last year, and it's been a long process. It's something that Maya started, and it's been asked for. Elizabeth was the person who asked for evaluation, for this evaluation. So it's nothing that we wanted to do at the beginning. So at first we didn't know really we have money or not. So until December, more or less, Maya was trying to deal with that, trying to get if we're going to have an independent evaluation or an internal evaluation. So, and Maya took the process until we hired the consultant. So this is something that I inherited from her. I hired the consultant, and then I tried to support the process. During the process, I engaged with some members of the team just for the feedback. But from I know that the participatory process was in the terms of references, because you maybe are thinking, I didn't took part in that process, but basically in the evaluation process, the most important part is the terms of references. So that's where the country and the team within the country decide what we're going to ask and what we're going to look at in the evaluation. And from that point, the second layer of participation is where we have the findings and we share with the respective teams, and then we ask for feedback. So it's not something that everyone has their voice. Everyone has their voice, but it's just in the process. So the process is because we what Maya did was decided the terms of references. We hired the consultant, and the consultant went to do the evaluations. Oh, sorry. Well, this is the title. It was performed in April. The second week, we started the second week of April, and we finished more or less mid of May. And maybe you can read that. Is the main findings of the evaluation is we could confirm, so the evaluator, somebody external, could confirm that we support 2,100 horses and 830 owners trained in animal welfare, 30 agrobates and 40 LSP improved their practices, and the budget was 900,000, around 900,000 pounds. If you read the report, there will be there you will see some mismatch between what we have in this number and what we have in country. The issue was that the information that we gave to the consultant was one, and then during the process of doing the evaluation, in country they couldn't match the information. And this is a typical problem in evaluation. Usually the access to information and how we monitor is quite crucial. So that's why important we have to monitor first and we have to have the information, because that's that problem, that the mismatch of information in evaluations is not like just here, it's everywhere. The lessons learned that we have from the main findings from the evaluation. There are three things that kind of the best thing that they found. The work with local authorities, the emergency work and the media work. With the local authorities, the example is from Ciudad Sandino. That is where the team, the advocacy team, and the communication team get engaged with the council, and then Ciudad Sandino, it's the council, the city council was really keen on working in the environment, and the city is there are lots of low-income people that depends on the livelihood depends on equines. So what was the link? That's why the council was really interested in working with Brooke. So that is, and they share they work a kind of symbiosis. Also, they share spaces. The city council had a lot of power of bring people together. So what Brooke did was to use the city council to work with to reach more people. The emerging work, it's 2014 there was a drought in Nicaragua, and what the team did was started to provide free grass for the 14 communities they were working with, and after that they provide also seeds. And it seems that the evaluators found that this could create a kind of dependency from the communities. But the team, it seems that the team decided just to stop giving after the crisis, that they stopped giving the free seeds and the hay, and they engaged with the community, and they understood really well that that was a crisis, and that's just that we give free things for in some occasions, not all the time. So I think this for the evaluators, that's quite important, because usually in Nicaragua it seems that there are other NGOs that work and then provide free things for communities, so they create dependency. It's a very paternalistic approach. It seems that in this case, Brooke is not, or the team in Nicaragua didn't have that approach. And the media work, it's basically that's the last part that of the last 2 years, I think, in Nicaragua, because it's they save money, and they save money in a way that they were portrayed in media. So they were 7 times in the national TV, and then they were quotes 18 times in the newspaper. So it's quite like a free advertising. So according to the evaluators, that is a good practice, and because Brooke as OIKOS, well, at the time was OIKOS and Brooke had a good coverage in media. Yeah, going to the good practices. The evaluators couldn't find a good practice when they asked the team why, if they have a good practice, and it seems that because they were finishing the project, or the closing down, they were quite so they couldn't remember things, or maybe they couldn't recall things that they were good for them, because maybe that was the process. But the evaluators find that there are 2 elements that we can use, like they are not completed at the time of the evaluation. These 2, intentional memory and the e-learning, were proposals that Elisa was trying to take forward. Basically, the institutional memory is something that is a project that she carried out with some members with different teams that try to create a folder where we can recall all the documents. We can save all the documents from the first phase of Nicaragua. So for the evaluators, that was a good practice, and the e-learning is like they want to create a module for parabets. At the time of the evaluation, those are just were plans. Well, now we are going to, that is the kind of the main things that findings from the evaluation. Let's look at the objectives of the evaluation. You will see usually all the evaluation have more or less the same objectives. They want to look at all the successes, what we learn, what we in this case the changes that in the welfare. So in a way, all the evaluations will have a kind of the same meaning, but maybe the wording is different. But in this case, identify successes or sustainable intervention, any significant change in the welfare of animals or changes in the stakeholders. Review, design, and relevance. Define whether existing management and team structure was the right one, and if they had the intended outcome. I think this is a little bit different, because we knew that the Nicaragua program it's different from other countries, because we had an agreement with OIKOS, but OIKOS didn't have they didn't manage the team. They just they hire the people and pay the people and do the finances. But the project was managed from here, and we had a head of programs there, and also that was when that objective is here, and then we have findings on that and recommendations. Gather lessons learned and that could be applied to other programs. Usually all the evaluations have this in a way of this objective. The scope of the evaluation is basically from the whole 4 years, from the started to the end. In some cases, if we have another evaluation, we might have like one just the last 3 years. In the case of Jordan, we've been working in Jordan more than 20 years, and the scope was the last 10 years. And the elements that we're looking at, the thematic elements, so all the areas covered by the theory of change. I know that I'm not sure, but I'm not sure if, for example, when the Nicaragua project started, we had the theory of change like we have now, but because we were doing the evaluation at this point, so we trying to look at through the lenses of the theory of change. The methodology. We have the desk review, that is basically the essential report. So the evaluation has, there is a kind of, the first stage is where the evaluators read all the documentation and write an essential report where they have the detail of the planning, the questions, and the interviews, and that is the review. It's basically the secondary information that they read, and they have to find out or contrast what they have in paper with the field, with the primary data that they collect from the field. They carry out interviews, 30 interviews, one-to-one interviews. They carry out 2 focus groups with about between 12 and 13 people, each of them. Direct observation, they visit two cities, two sites. They didn't have enough time to visit more sites, so that is something also we have in evaluation. We have to be very careful and select which community we want to look at. So that's very important, and this is also decided in agreement with the country. The limitations. According to the evaluators, and I agree with them in many cases, that time was one of the limitations that we had. One is because the time was quite short, and because the timing in terms of we were closing down the project. So April was quite busy for the team. So that's why we have the next limitation, that we have the staff availability. They were closing the project. They have to do their own duties, go to their own meetings, and some of them were taking annual leave, cumulative annual leave. So when we had the first meeting with Elizabeth and the team, they had to start almost immediately the field work because they've been told, the evaluators have been told that some of the team members they were going on leave like about for 2 weeks or 3 weeks, or some of them just were unavailable. Logistics, it's also an issue. We have some issue with the logistics because it's we have some cars in Nicaragua, but they were used by the team because they were closing the project. But I said that the evaluator had to organize their own transport. That is not, that shouldn't be happen. That's a learning that we have now because one, it was an issue in terms of security, and another issue was about introducing the evaluator to the community. So one of the evaluators were from Nicaragua, so it was easy for her to try to go and engage with communities or community leaders. But in other cases, for example, if we send somebody to Nepal from the country without contact with the team or not giving the right transport, it's an issue. Financial data. One of the questions was about looking at the expenditure, and we didn't have enough data at the beginning. So the information that's provided to the evaluator was not the last day, but basically a week or 4 days before they submitted they had to submit the report, the draft report. So they tried to do some analysis, but they couldn't do it, a proper analysis, a financial analysis. Now we have this. I organized the presentation in terms of the criteria that Alex explained about the evaluation criteria that we have, and the recommendations according to this criteria. If you see the report, we have 40 recommendations. That is not that's a lot. Usually evaluations come with a maximum of 12, 15 recommendations, but in this case. It was too much. So, I mean, there are the recommendations are organized in recommendations at strategic level, recommendations for M&E, recommendations for evaluation, for community engagement, and so on. But I try to put the recommendation in terms of each area that we're looking at. They have specific recommendations. So we have validity of this of the intervention designed, and we have 3 recommendations: 8, 7, and 4 and 5 from the document. And we have three areas that where the evaluators look at it: clarity and scope of the project, planning and subsequent adjustments, and collaboration with other agencies. That's a rephrasing from the questions. We had questions around that. The issue around clarity and the scope of the project, it seems that when the evaluators went to talk to the team, they portrayed the project as a livelihoods project. Some of them they portray as an animal welfare project, and then during the discussion with stakeholders here in the UK and in the country, it seemed that well, one of the recommendations is that we should think about or be clear with the team about how what they should say in country or why they are working with us. Planning and subsequent adjustments. It seems that one of the main observations here is like we have annual planning, and within this planning also we have internal changes. So that is something that we came up with the first thing. And in Nicaragua specifically, because the link between the head of the project and the manager from here, there was a kind of mismatch, so that was the issue of planning. And collaboration with other agencies, according to the evaluators, we could have done better in terms of engaging with other agencies, not talking about government, but other NGOs. There was in the report you will find some comments about Fundación Marte. That we started. It seemed that we started the project with Fundación Marte, but for some reason we stopped doing that, and then we moved to work with OIKOS. So there wasn't enough information for the evaluator to assess that part. The recommendations in this is in the future program put more emphasis on achievable system project cycle management. It's basically you had to plan, a clear plan, we had to deliver, and we have to evaluate the project. Basically, that is something that we are trying to work doing now, and Nicola is the one who is working in the project cycle. Brooke should improve management skills through better recruitment, induction, or training or mentoring. So this is something that, yeah, I can say anything about that. I imagine that now we are doing with Elizabeth. Well, we're starting a new office there, so it's going to be completely different. I imagine also was a part of the deal, the agreement between OIKOS and Brooke, and the way that we manage. 4 and 5, Brooke could consider a collaboration with other NGOs working in other aspects of animal health to explore opportunities for a livelihood support project in partnership. They saw that they saw that there are other agencies that work with goats, with cows, I don't know, and maybe there's a way we find to try to work with other in partnership to work livelihoods, but also we work strain. We strain we're still working with equines, but we work with others. And that's all I think. Relevance and appropriateness. We have here 3. I selected. We have more elements in the report. Yeah, I have just 10 minutes, so I have to run now to be faster. Staff skill set. There was a question about if the staff was right, so if they had the right skills, and it seemed that more the skill was the issue around the timing. So they got the overloading of work. It seemed that they complain about they do lots of stuff about M&E, not just the work. They do more things, and then And what they found also, there's a little participation from communities at the beginning. So it seems that with the Libre project, there was little participation from the communities. Well, the project design should put a stronger focus on selecting communities to work in. Especially numbers of equines, the needs of equines, level organization of local security considerations, and the geographical spread. I think that we do that. I think that is, we already have this process in place. For some reason, the evaluators didn't see it. Senior staff should invest more planning and thoughts in the initial needs assessment. It's not, that's quite important, because not just about collecting data and not about just doing a report. It's just really thinking strategically how we're going to use the data and to plan well a project or a new country or a new initiative. That's quite important. The scoping studies should involve local development experts and be well documented. It seems that the decisions were made and between the scoping study and the hire of the team, and it seemed that we started new communities and we left some communities, but there were little information about that. The evaluators couldn't find reports on that. Coherence. That's the thing that we have a high score in this coherence. It seems that is thanks to advocacy, because we work in the policy there, and also the project is coherent with good development practice, which aims to build local ownership. The second part is best case because is related to the drought. When we gave these handouts and we gave there was a drought in 2014. This is the same example. Lesson learned: Brooke, Nicaragua provide free goods just in emergency and pandemic crisis. That's the good practice too. Efficiency. That's where the evaluators couldn't find. There was an issue in terms of the budgets and how we manage money and how we have how we spend the money and how we record the activities, and with activities match a budget. So they couldn't do a final assessment. So they say that, well, we spent as of the first year we spent 183 pounds per animal, and at the end of the 4th year we spent 49 pounds per animal. And community engagement methodology, I think that the community engagement didn't update or they didn't modify their approach. So what the main findings of the evaluation was that they kept doing the same thing over the last 4 years. M&A function and technical support. M&A function was quite managed by London, and everything data collection, so what was basically they are really dependent on people from London. That's the main finding. And the technical support, the finding on that is even that people went from here to Nicaragua, but the issue around the translations, the issue around the frequency, it's quite an issue. It's just once a year that somebody goes there, and you will see the recommendations are about doing south to south. Another one recommendation is an adequate community engagement methodology should be created to reduce time of traveling, including working in smaller geographical areas. Brooke should put into place at the beginning of the new project data collection system that are useful but not too onerous. They're working on that. That is part of the multi-year plan and is part of the M&E that we are doing. M&E should be done in-house in reducing dependency from London. That's also we are working on that. So we're trying to strengthen the M&E system at country level. Continue the methodology south-to-south provision of technical support. It seems that they have some practice in terms of people going from Guatemala to Nicaragua. So I think that it seems that everyone within the team remembered that. Maybe there was all of them that were speaking Spanish, and I don't know. The effectiveness of management setup. Diagramming with OIKOS and the team staff structure. Well, diagramming OIKOS, I said at the beginning, is basically the issue around who managed and the agreement that we had. The recommendation is Brooke should try to avoid trying to manage major country project from London. I briefly overuse that. When possible, appoint a Nicaraguan project manager with the decision-making level to make decisions in country. So that is also now it's solved with now Nicaragua branch. Effectiveness, unreliable evidence base for problem effectiveness. In this case, none of the law frames match. That's why the issue was basically the evaluator couldn't find relationship between law frames over the years. The law frame should include targets and milestones. That's also, we are working on that. That's part of the change that we are doing. The organization should not change data collection system and need project. It seems that happen, and we know that is something that we've been they are trying to correct. The analysis of SEPWAT data should be done at country level, and Brooke should look at why some of the indicators have gone down. It seems that they have access to a draft report. So that's I'm not mentioning here in the presentation, but in the report it says there's a draft report. So it seems that the evaluators were in bed, so maybe that they could understand the information really well. But it's something that we should look at, and it seems that according to them, it takes a lot of time to collect data, and country officers sometimes they don't understand. So that's dependent on London to interpret the analysis of the data and interpretation. You have to read the report because this is a recommendation from 20 to 24. Brooke should continue investing in advocacy with universities, working with universities, local and national government bodies and other agencies. That is the strength of the program. It seems that now the advocacy is the strength, and the weakness, the part wasn't really good, but the community engagement approach. So review community engagement approach, define whether Brooke will develop a curricula, including defining when participant has finished the program. That is also, they seem that the team couldn't define if they're going to train a curricula, or they're going to have a program to learn, or if they want to work with the community and strengthen the community and work with and help them to improve their livelihood. So it seems that was it's really reportable, it's clear there. And training should include baseline measurement to assess progress, but it seems that we didn't have a baseline, so we couldn't assess the project. Sustainability and likelihood of impact. According to the evaluators, they couldn't find any sustainable work apart from advocacy. And Alexa asked me yesterday if I check it again. So it's the engagement with the media was basically advocacy work. I said that 7 times in national TV, 80 times in national papers. They draft the regulation for a law that is relating to equine welfare in Nicaragua. Universities and technical schools which offer courses of veterinary medicine recognize the need of include more equine welfare care in the curriculum. According to the evaluator, when they went to visit, they were really happy, they really engaged with the team. And some town councils in Brooke intervention areas put equine welfare on the agenda, like Ciudad Sandino. That is the only example that we have in terms of good practice is this and also learning that is, but it's maybe because it was like a second phase. Always the first two years, or when somebody starts a project, it's setting out the projects at a time. It takes time. But when we have set everything setting and we start a program, like advocacy started a bit later, maybe, I'm not sure. I'm trying to speculate, but that's I think all from me. Thank you very much. Any question?
Can I make a couple of comments?
Yeah.
Before the questions. One, I think that when we put to the board the creation of the branch, much of what the evaluation has highlighted was what we put to the board. So the internal evaluation had found that management had not been particularly robust, that we didn't have value for money, that plans had changed regularly, that there was a need for an independence, that the administrative partnership with OIKOS. So it's very, very encouraging for me. I was delighted that this evaluation actually just gave an independent view of what we had already thought, and in a more, as you say, meeting a framework for evaluation. So it was music to my ears to see it written down. I think some of the recommendations are out of scope of the evaluation, but will be very useful to the management. They're going to be thinking about it when they come to their planning, because there are lots of assumptions with regard to, if you did this, would this happen? And I think that the team will be thinking. So I'm really interested to see, as the team move into their planning, how they address the finding. But I just wanted to flag that from where we sit, in terms of where we were thinking, from the management point of view, where we were going with this, it's been fantastic to see this come through, because it hasn't certainly been any surprise at all.
Yeah.
You know, and we'll give Elizabeth and her team a lot from which to base that.
Okay. Yes, I think that when I send the report to Daniel and then I ask him a comment, and he said, well, it's no new really. So it seems that is everyone expected that. But it's different when it's somebody else from outside telling you. So I think it hurts a little bit, but maybe you can pay attention to that when somebody else is saying that. Any other question?
This has been really useful, because so much, I mean, I think we knew this, a lot of this, but again, just to say about the kind of external sort of view, but some of the lessons learned in terms of how we work with partners in the future, they're really critically embedded in some of that. So that's been very useful to hear from our perspective. One thing that always kind of bugs me, this is a more general question, but how useful do we find that unit cost analysis, because what was the criteria? It's there's so many variables in how that works with different contexts, different teams, costing in staff time, and is that something that we would be continuing with in evaluations going forward?
I think that is something you have to look into, because what the evaluators use is the method that we use to calculate. So the information that they put there is information from us. Yeah. That's the way we count. That's the way we and the report and the original report that from Nicaragua, they have the cost per animal uptake, and the cost per coverage. So it seems the coverage is very low, and then but I say to what extent is that's right? So because even though we don't know about, we're not sure about the coverage numbers. So I think that is something that maybe Alexa can.
If I can add just on this one, in the evaluation policy which I've circulated, there is an element of economic evaluation. So this is a specific type of evaluation Obviously, the evaluations we're doing at the moment are performance type of evaluation. We look at the OECD DAC criteria. Each criteria has a set of questions, so it's a lot to be covered. We can do in-depth analysis of economical aspects, but this will require a separate exercise, and we've not developed the approach yet on that. It will come once the evaluation policy is approved by board, and then we are with Jose and Cesar developing the evaluation procedures, which will detail what is the approach to define economic aspects.
They're obviously put in place for huge bilateral agreements with multi-billion spend. So I just wonder if at this stage if it's a useful analysis. But I don't know.
And that was something I made a note of, because quite often efficiency methodologies are quite crude, and I was wondering how we factor into that, behaviour change, advocacy level change, because that has a much broader impact on animal welfare in the long term. And the danger of going down a kind of cost per animal reached route is that your donors look at a budget and say, well, we're reaching X thousand animals, and that's not very good bang for the buck.
From experience, unfortunately, some donors are focused on this question, cost per animal. It's also our role, I think, to kind of educate them and let them know that we are delivering so much more that cannot be quantitatively assessed, but more qualitative aspects. And as part of the effort of reinforcing M&E in programs, we're also looking into having more qualitative indicators and having a better measurement of qualitative aspects of our work.
It's also, though, when we presented to the board, we did use as part of the argument the move. When you start a pilot project, your upfront costs are very high, and you expect to see them reducing. Now we've pitched back up again because we're setting up a branch, so we're doing very little except setting up a branch right now. And so within a given country, some comparisons of cost and reduction of cost does give an indication from a management point of view, if not from an external audience point of view, of being able to track progress. So I wouldn't want to see us losing it. I do want to see it heavily caveated around all of the things that you've said there. I think it's an easy indicator to just keep an eye on, but also an easy one to misconstrue, so we have to be very careful.
Yeah, now it's fully taken on board, and we'll look into that in the coming month.
One other comment, sort of question. I think it's a great piece of organisation and evaluation, so congratulations to everyone involved. From my point of view, and the development of the Alvarado proposal on the evaluation that we want to have from that project, I think there's obviously some valuable learning that it would be good to sit down and digest with you at some point about setting the parameters for that evaluation, and also being clear from the start about what we want, what it is we want to achieve, so that in 4 years' time we're not presenting this situation.
Any other question? Do we have any question?
Will any of this be shared with the wider sector at all, or is this just
That's something.
Well, the idea, as long as SLT is on board, is to post those evaluation reports and evaluation summary online, so that it's on our website, it's fully transparent, anyone can see it. There will be also management response, so each director, as I said, in the UK, but also in country Nicaragua, will take full responsibility for implementing the recommendation, and we will monitor that. My team will monitor that closely on a regular basis. And all of this should be accessible virtually to everyone, so that we can prove to people giving us money that we are spending that money well, and we keep improving what we do to ensure we reach more animals in need. That's the idea. This presentation is, once we have finished the live stream, the recording will be online on the YouTube channel, so anyone can go there, watch it again. I know like Pakistan wanted to join, they could not because they're on holidays, but they will be able to join for this one. This is the first in series of evaluation presentation. We'll have, the rhythm will be once a month, and the next one will focus on Jordan, and again it will be live stream and we'll have the recording which will be accessible. So that's what we have. I don't think we have any questions from the countries. I've looked online, so if there is any pressing question from countries, they may want to send me on Skype just now, otherwise we're going to have to close the presentation. And we can in any case pick up any other question you have after by email or on Skype. We're here. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Yeah, it's a question. It says I have to work a lot. And we've heard so many
How do you turn it? It's still live.
Yeah, and we can read the bars, you know, when we draft URLs and stuff, they can contribute so they feel part of it. Yeah.
So can I stop from here? Maybe with record.
Community involvement. Basically, just replace
No, I think I have to do it from there. Nothing's coming up with some sort of thing you can do it from there. Like if you do that, look at the screen.
But the good thing is that you have to evaluation.
Yeah,
Those monitoring through the bottom its target, so this will be top. And donors are okay as long as they tackle the issues as they come to wait. We know that's in there. Yeah.
So why wait for the opportunity to pick it up when we should be proactively saying these are
Well, to be honest, I think it's coming from our side. We're supposed to be looking at it. She's not going to jobs. You see, when there is systemic issues here beyond our control, we are being asked